All right, all praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakak Wadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the nation of Israel. And this is going to be a video on a quick point from a Bible dictionary that I've got. And let me just give me a second. I'll show the title of it, or I'll write down what the name of the Bible dictionary is as well. But I just want to read the entry for Idumea within this Bible dictionary, and it says Idumea is not the same land as Edom, right? It's not the same land as Edom, for which is the Greek name, though the Idumeans are the same people as the Edomites, which is what we know as Israelites to be true, right? And if you didn't know, Idumea is ultimately just what this is saying is Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom or Edomite, right? For which is the Greek name, though the Idumeans are the same people as the Edomites, just like Amalek is also the same people as the Edomites. It's just a different tribe or a different way of, or a way of mentioning a particular tribe of the Edomites, right? Edom was situated in the Sinaitic Peninsula, southwest of Palestine, a wild and rugged tract of land, but quite fertile. Its original name was Seir, and its first inhabitants were cave dwellers. Now, the first inhabitants, when I looked and just did a brief search, when you go to Genesis 14 and 6, right, it mentions a people called the Horites that were in Seir, right? And those people were descendants of Ham, right? So Esau ended up ultimately living there instead of them, right? So then if that's the case, now they are going to be cave dwellers too, right? Now, what did that guy Miller say in regard to their nation, man? He said, we came out of the caves, right? That's what he said, right? He said its original name was Seir and its first inhabitants were cave dwellers. But guess what? You Edomites said that as well. Because you Edomites always steal people's lands and take places and then copy how they live there, man. Right? That's what you always do. Right? It says, he ends up saying in the scriptures, then Esau dwelt in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. Right? That's what it says, man. And Esau, even in this, will try and come with some slick stuff and try and make it like somebody else was the cave dweller first before him. Well, I'm choosing not to believe that, man. You're the cave dweller, You are. Right? That first inhabitant was in my opinion, he's really just trying to pass it off on someone else. No, you're that, man. But there was in the scriptures, the Horites in Genesis 14 and 6 are mentioned as dwelling in Seir. It does say that, right? It says these were expelled by the descendants of Esau, who was also called Edom. Edom read Genesis 25 and 30. The Edomites were hunters, but after becoming docile in Seir, they built cities, engaged in trade, and had social organization with a king long before the Israelites, their cousins. When the latter, talking about the Israelites, on their way from Egypt to Palestine, reached the frontier of Edom, they were at first denied a passage through the land and generally treated very harshly by the people, though Moses recognized the common parentage of the two nations. Numbers chapter 20, verse 14 to verse 17. But as soon as the Israelites became consolidated and settled, they took revenge. Saul conquered Edom. 1 Samuel chapter 14 and verse 47. David did likewise. 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 14. The hostility continued when Nebuchadnezzar, BC 588, destroyed Jerusalem. The Edomites were allied and took part in the massacre and pillage, which is why it says in the scriptures, remember, O Lord, the daughter of Babylon, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. It goes on to say, it was at this time that the Edomites removed, leaving Seir, which was afterward occupied by an Arab tribe and was subsequently known in history as Arabia Petraea, and settling in the region south of the Dead Sea, Idumea, after the return of the Israelites from the captivity. The hostility between them and the Idumeans renewed, but John Hyrcanus, BC 135 to 105, not only subjugated the Idumeans, but compelled them to accept circumcision and the Mosaic law, the laws of Yahweh ultimately, right? They had hitherto been, well, let me see if I can get that word. They had hitherto been, what the hell, man? It goes on to say that hitherto been Baal worshippers, right? You see it right there? They had hitherto been Baal worshippers, right? Because that's what Esau's real thing is, man, right? Now they became Jews, which they're not really, because you can't become a Jew. You have to be a Jew, you have to come from the tribe of Judah. They became Jews in BC 147. In BC 47. Now, for the people that are wondering why is the numbers going down, that's how it goes when you think about BC. If you think about BC as being minus, right, and then AD or CE as being positive, and 0 being when Yahweh was crucified, right? That's why the numbers have went down when it says the BC, right? Because sometimes in the past I used to get confused with that. So when you think about BC, as it starts getting closer and closer to now, if it was BC 588, like it said with Nebuchadnezzar when it mentioned him, it was gradually go, okay, BC 500, you see? And then it would go to BC 1, then it would go to 0, then it would go to 1 of Common Era or AD, you see? Which is Anno Domini, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm not, Salakia, I'm not too sure what that means. But I could search it and then put it in the comment section. Maybe I will. It says Mosaic law, they had hitherto been Baal worshippers, now they became Jews. BC 47, one of their great men, Antipater, was made procurator of Judea by Caesar, and Antipater's son was Herod the Great. So all you people out there wanting to try and make out like the Edomites just went and perished away after Babylon, you liars, right? Because it says here BC 47. BC 47, Antipater was there, and Antipater's son was Herod the Great. That's an Edomite. They're both Edomites. So 500 plus years after Nebuchadnezzar, as it mentions here, the Edomites are still around. And guess what? They're still around now. They're still around now, almost a good 2000. Well, like, what's that? 2063. Would that be 2063 years? 2063 or something like that years, man. So lucky, man. I'm not with the maths thing today, man. All you have to do is add 2000. Let me do it, man. Let me just do it before people are like, man, this guy ain't got no maths to him, man. Man, people are going to rinse me for this, huh? 2072 years, if I'm not mistaken, man. From this point until now, 2072 years, Edomites are still very much here, man. So let's not play no games, right? Edomites are still very much here. But they're trying to front like they ain't, because they're calling themselves different names. They're calling themselves different names, man. Just like how there's a Greek way to say Edomite, yeah? Well, now there's an English way to say Edomite, American. You understand? Now that there was a Greek way to say Edomite. I'm an Idumean, right? I'm not Edomite. I'm an Idumean. Well, now there's an English way to say it. I'm a what's it called, man? I'm an American, and there's a British way to say I'm British. I'm English. There's a multitude of ways to say you're an Edomite now. I'm a so-called white man. That's a way to say you're an Edomite too in this world now, man. But I'm gonna end the lesson there, man. I just wanted to do that, and I was only focusing on the point of the cave dwellers. Although there's other few things in there as well that I guess are relevant to mention, and even it mentioned the thing with the Arabs thing. That's why a lot of people try and accuse the Arabs of being Edomites, because after Esau left from certain places, other people went there. So they try and go back to that point, but they don't go back further than that and focus on who the real Edomites were there of the time, man. But anyway, I just wanted to do this video. I was thinking about this after that cave comment that guy made, and I'm gonna say shalom to the elect, shalom.